for joining us today, yet on another great episode of Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwe. We start off today with our newspapers, and right after that, in a jiffy, would be our main conversation also. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us right here in our studios Innocent Adoluba, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all we have from our newspapers and, of course, getting through our main conversations for today. Thank you so very much, Innocent, for being here.
Good morning, Harry. It's always my pleasure.
Yeah, you look very dapper.
Oh, well, I'm trying to project a good image of Nigeria.
That's interesting to hear. And I want to believe on today's episode, we will do just that. But of course, let's start off with the first daily on our desk, coming from the Vanguard newspaper. We just have a story, just one story from the Vanguard newspaper, because a larger part of it has been taken over by Tantita and their tribute to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it is on Benue killings, a gory ordeal by survivors. Innocent Adoluba, interestingly, Nigerians are still trying to understand how bad the situation is. It took, yesterday we had a discussion on how bad the situation is for the fact that it took the intervention of the Pontiff from Rome to have gotten the attention of the president to the attack in Benue. But right now, what do you make of the situation as it stands today?
Oh, well, it's a pity. It's a pity. And, you know, the recent news is that Tinubu, the president, visiting Benue. This is my take. Nigeria should beware of expensive propagandas and bogus speeches when it pertains to human lives that are being lost steadily. The summary is human life well-being is not a pawn for politicking. How many local governments are in Benue? 23. Is there any release, any confirmation that each local government, in the face of this skating insecurity, does not have a drone, Henry? So why am I saying this? Nigerians are tired of hearing that, killer Fulani headsmen or bandits or unidentified people, whoever they are, or Boko Haram, came to kill in Benue or Plateau, came with motorbikes, 50, 100 people, and an hour, 30 minutes after the police arrive and see those people have disappeared. Did they disappear into a pit? Into a tunnel? Did they go subterranean? Is there a big lake or river? Is there a submarine? Were they submerged? So if you came in the aftermath of the departure of the assailants, can a drone tell us where they are going? Because they will strike again. You know, these people come in caravan. You hear the ordeal of the survivors. Oh, they had sophisticated weapons. There was the video by the very dark man. Yeah. So that is a naked expose. Yeah, I mean, it's incontrovertible, Henry. So those people struck. Apparently, they are still in the States.
Very well.
Where have one drone or the other detected? Are they invisible to drones? In fact, let me ask that one.
But just before we even talk about drones here, you did say they come like caravans.
Yes.
And I would love to believe they weren't invincible. They passed through a network of road. I would love to believe there are checkpoints there. So can we say that this is complicity on the part of the government and maybe the security architecture in Benue State?
You see, it's neither here nor there. And so when you say certain things, certain people get uncomfortable. The principal function of government is to secure lives and property. The continuity of the government giving excuses is tacit support for killing of Benue people. Because policy is the action or inaction of government. That's what policy is. If the government goes to protect Benue people, forestall killing, save them, arrest killers, prosecute, the policy of the government is visible, is to protect lives. Now, if repeatedly the government is how they are now, then to that extent, it is the policy of the government to watch Benue people being killed. Yes, that's policy, is the action or inaction of the government. And to that extent is why you hear pockets of demonstrations, the Benue youth blocking roads. These are roads manned by the Federal Road Safety or police, and these people still come through. The reason I am advocating for drones is, granted that they've infiltrated the state, they no longer operate openly on highways and major roads. They seek covers, you know, covered places. Is why I'm asking, what are drones for? Right now, we have not heard that a killing happened today. Is today 18th or 17th?
So 18th.
So we have not heard that on the 18th of June 2025, any killing has happened. Neither can we authenticate that the last of the killings have been heard, Henry. So, in being proactive, so you can secure life or minimize damage. What is happening now that we've not heard of any strike? Because as soon as we hear of an attack, a legion of or a platoon of security people will go there, make speeches, console people, and walk away. It's like a sequence. The one agriculture will call shifting cultivation. They happen here. As these people are mourning, they go here. The one they narrated by the survivors to Very Dark Man.
Yes.
The man said the police did their best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why I say it's neither here nor there. But that the bandits or whoever attacked the police station. And everybody in the town heard that the police station is under attack.
But don't we have an army formation in Benue State?
I'm coming. While trying to contain that, these bandits now struck the village. So there is a tactic, there is a strategy of distraction. Can you see what happened? Then there is this woman I watched on, let me mention it, Arise TV, yes. Dr. Achakwa.
Okay.
She also said the security people at that place where she went were narrated to have done their best. So, Henry, like I'm saying, it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there. Benue, vast as it is, among Nigeria's possibly top 10 largest states, has only one army barrack in Makurdi.
Well, every state comes with an army barrack. So
Note, there are some in Cross River.
Okay.
You have in Calabar, in Eburutu, and in Akim. Then you have in Ikom. I think they have some in around Ogoja.
Okay.
You know. So it's not like a state is entitled to only one. I mean, this is Lagos. You have in Ikeja cantonment. Lagos is about less than half the land size of Benue. You have in Ikeja cantonment. You have in Ojo.
Yes.
Can you see that? You have at Ojo Elegba.
The Air Force base.
Yes. You know, so my point is, these formations, yes, military era is over. If this is the situation, we should start thinking of another one.
Well, just before we think of another one, you know, what we are not talking about is the remote cause to some of these things, because I would love to believe if that is nipped in the bud, maybe it will go a long way to solving the problem. But just before we move to another paper and yet another story, you know, Seta Dulba, let's speak to the personality and activity of the governor, Hyacinth Alia, on this particular matter. While all of these things raged, you know, what is the talking point right now about him is his alleged desire of hosting the president in a very great way. And one would ask, why not put the same energy in ensuring that citizens in your state are secured, rather than going on a jamboree visit for the president?
With all due respect, I like to refer to him as the Reverend Governor. You know, somebody who swapped the pulpit for the podium. Governor Hyacinth Alia is delicious to listen to.
No, he speaks so well. I love the way he...
But the matter on ground has gone beyond what people call homily or sermon or preaching. This is war. So each time I look at that Ukrainian president, Zelensky, for years the man has rejected Thai, and you see he is what the Boy Scout calls be prepared. He is not the one leading the war, but he exemplifies the toga, the mood of war. And
despite that, just to say, and despite the fact that he is a comedian turned politician, and now today he is the president. But no one would ever know, because his desire of ensuring that Ukraine is safe is for him the most important thing.
He took the risk. It's bipolar now. Neither here nor there, but he took the risk to have a session with President Trump in that his outfit, which President Trump was not so enamored about. But the man tells you my country is at war. This is so. Leave his comedy background. He has fitted into where he is. That's a topic for another day. But if we stay with the Reverend Governor Hyacinth Alia, I want to say that it's tricky, but excessive political loyalty can be misleading. What you have narrated, the governor believes, which is a principle universally, his loyalty is more important to President Tinubu. But he was voted into office, rightly or argumentatively, by the Benue people. And so, he is the #1 representative of the Benue people, who voted him via that political participation of the process of election, And so, I expect, maybe because we have seen Governor Samuel Ortom, his predecessor, speaking frontally at the matter, I expect so. If not more, it should not be less. 2, the big people in Benue, I want to hear them speak publicly against the killing of the Benue people. We have heard a big voice like retired General Theophilus Danjuma speaking for the Taraba people. He was not even in government. But so if you are from a place, you are a political leader, and we don't hear, it's not a body language, it's not you visited casualty. We should have, in today's world, if I take my phone, far away, we can hear Professor Patrice Lumumba. Don't you hear him?
Very well.
So I want to hear the Secretary to the Federal Government, respected Senator George Akume, a 2-time Governor Emeritus of Benue, speak brazenly against the killing of his people.
And also David Mark.
I want to hear, no, David Mark has. Just go
that.
to the media, you will see it. But again, David Mark's son, if you ask me, was a bit belated, but eventually he has. I want to hear former Governor Gabriel Suswam speak openly against the killing. If you hear General Danjuma, he spoke, in fact, with warnings.
Yes, very true.
You don't just come here and overrun my people.
Very true.
I want to hear the Speaker of Benue State House of Assembly, who is also elected by the people, speak for the people. I want to hear members of Benue State House of Assembly speak. There should be an army of people speaking publicly against this. I want to hear, I've heard him already, but I want to hear more from the respected Senator Abba Muru, representing Zone C. He has spoken even on the floor. But as long as the killing persists, the speaking, the resentment, the rebuke should continue. I want to hear a Benue leader like His Excellency Barnabas Gemadi speak against it. Dr. Iyocha Ayu, all of you in the public space who seek people to vote for you when the time comes. This is the time for you to demonstrate your political value, because there is a place Senator George Akume can speak that the Benue people being killed cannot get to speak. And so his voice will go global. And look, there is another matter, Henry.
Yes.
Sorry I'm prolonging this. The constitution of Nigeria is clear. You cannot possess arm without license. In the afternoon, these Fulani headsmen carry AK-47 and move around people in communities who are armless. In the night, this becomes weapon. I doubt, Henry, the way it is done out there, if there is any authority checking if there are spent pellets from those guns. If they have been tolerated across 10 years or thereabouts, and then again, we hear it's out there. The government will arrest bandits, killer headsmen, Boko Haram, in a matter of hours or days. They tell you they've released them, they've repented. Why won't they thrive? So, if these Benue youths begin to carry AK-47, when they are arrested, would they be given the window for repentance?
Well, we have been told that the government, of course, Hyacinth earlier has said that he would not condone any form of reprisal, and the people should not go on self-defense. Well, the question is, how then do they save themselves?
President Tinubu has also asked,
reprisal, they can't President
Tinubu has also asked the Benue people to reconcile with the headers, Henry.
Well, let's see how that goes. It's a developing story, like I did promise. We will, right here on Enterprise Television, give you update as it unfolds, and equally get notable people to come talk more on this particular issue. But let's get to the Guardian newspaper for a bit here. Innocent Aduluba, let's talk about INEC rejects a PDP NEC meeting notice without secretary's signature. As someone would say that the role, allegedly, that the role of the APC is to do as much as they can to dislocate rival political parties. Right now, the PDP is without a secretary. Governors who have defected to the APC, like Pastor Omoyeno, said that his future is not guaranteed, knowing he doesn't know who would sign his form when the time comes for election. And right now, INEC is even saying that they don't know what to do because there is no secretary's signature appended to the notice from the PDP. How bad is the situation for the PDP? Innocent Aduluba.
Let me start this way. Politics is not righteousness. So those looking for righteousness should go to shrines and churches. But every organization, in organizational theory, every organization outlives its founders. There was a party called Action Group, founded by the sage, the peerless Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Obafemi Awolowo is late. The spirit of that party lingers till today somehow. You know, there are people who are falling from parties. INEC should not overplay their hands. I listened to the, I don't know if he's still a member of Labour Party, the barrister Kenneth Okonkwo.
Okay, Kenneth. Yes, he is still a member, but of course...
who said INEC is a department of the APC. If this kind of allegations are rife in town, INEC should be careful. Because if INEC panders to allegations, it will become an established fact. Some people joke where we drink that there are new political parties. Agbero political party and INEC political party. You see, this exists at banters and, you know, parodies. Are they becoming true? Where there is no secretary, Henry, there can be an acting secretary, or somebody can sign for the secretary. I don't know. The People's Democratic Party, I'm wondering, do they have men in that party with spinal cord? People who can stand and talk to INEC. What's their legal department doing? You know, we heard some days back or some weeks back that INEC have said they will not be registering new political parties. I don't know if you've heard of that. Okay. Is INEC so empowered? Can, in a multi-party system, is there a lead to how many parties can be formed? You know, maybe the PDP should come for strategies for free. Let me give it to them. Whether they will use is another thing. Because the PDP, I'm angry with them, they are the leading party depriving Nigerians of the options in a multi-party system. So if we are stuck with one party that we don't like, we don't have option, we are stuck, and we claim this is not a one-party system.
But how much of blame can we give to the PDP, knowing that right now they have been infiltrated? We have Nyesom Wike, who is a very big, undeniable stakeholder of the PDP that is playing anti-party. He is with the APC and still remains with the PDP. How do you think in that condition the PDP would not cave in?
The two things. One, Minister Nyesom Wike, I always say, is a lucky man. He's a very lucky man. Do you think Minister Nyesom Wike claiming to be a PDP member in nowadays is making the PDP proud? Do you think so? What are the PDP rules about such recalcitrance? What are the PDP rules? Are they invoking their rules? Look, let me tell you. If you look at how political parties emerged, using French example, there is this, my book, if you look at by Jean Blondel,
okay.
If you look at the parties don't need the kind of crowd the PDP are looking for. Parties survive from nucleus, cells, wards of strong people. If Minister Nyesom Wike declares outrightly he is not a member of the PDP, would the PDP be better or worse? So the PDP should, I use the word, should have men, Henry, with the right spinal cord. If you stand up to speak, you are speaking for your party. If Minister Nyesom Wike, Minister Nyesom is a lucky man. I've been hoping for all we see, from his the wee days in his last days as governor, leading to his reign as the minister. Nyesom Wike has dealt with the PDP from Rivers and then as a minister, Henry. Okay. Now, the PDP can help Minister Nyesom Wike settle fully in APC and say, this man, we gift him to APC. Because already, if you look, Minister Nyesom Wike is not a displaced politician. He is well located in the favor books of APC. Am I wrong?
Very true.
And he has the same thing the defecting Governor Moeno said on his day of defection, that yes, I have moved to APC, but I'm still in charge of the PDP machinery in Akwa Ibom State. And PDP lawyers are hearing this. PDP board. The PDP is a hope of the Nigerian masses. The same way for Labour Party or any, whether Accord Party. The options, the thing is, there will be a ruling party. PDP was once a ruling party. PDP will be toppled. It's not eternal.
APC or PDP?
No, PDP. Now, we are in APC. It is the hope of the masses that if this party is not the one delivering the dividends they crave, they can recognize another opposition that they can transfer their votes massively to. So, PDP, I'm challenging you on this platform to stand on your feet. Stand on your feet, perform your duty as a political party. One of the biggest duty of a political party is to organize men and resources, canvass well, and capture power, whether it is at the state, local government, or federal level. Let the masses who chose you as the alternative have options to breathe. We can't just be caged. There's no election yet, and the masses are caged already.
Very, very true, Innocent Aduluba. Of course, it's still a very sensitive matter there. Damagong, who is the acting chairman of the PDP, we would love to believe, as according to some people allegedly, is a placeholder who was made possible by the same FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, so people said. So the question is, how is it even possible that the man who had placed you there, you would now turn around to maybe oust him? How possible is that even in the first place? But let's see how that goes though. So let's speak to the issue of a weak justice system, frustrating 1.5 trillion naira a bad loans recovery, judges said. Now, we're very so inundated with weak everything in Nigeria. Weak political system, weak ideology, weak value system. Of course, not living out weak judiciary. It's been stated here that the justice system cannot even make it possible for loan recovery. About 1.5 trillion in naira. Now the question is, how then do you think all the so-called foreign direct investment would make itself available in Nigeria when our justice system is neither here nor there?
Henry, a strong economy is the security of democracy. It tells you that even democracy needs to be secured. The news you are reading, that headline, smacks of the judiciary holding back the wheels of commerce.
Yeah, very true.
That's what that's the implication. If you do that, you are also weakening democracy, because a strong economy is the security of a viable democracy. You see, the judiciary in Nigeria, once upon a time, Henry, every child, viable children, aspire to become lawyers. This is a very sad time to be a lawyer if we are looking for integrity. The lawyers have not clothed themselves in the garb that enamels them to the hope of a helpless man. There must be something. We are told that justice is blind. All their lingo, nemo judes in causa sua, audi alterem partem, and all the whatever. So when somebody graduates in 2025 to be a lawyer, it's just to earn a living.
Yes, because the truth of the matter is they don't have anybody to look up to, because everyone seems to have, been involved in the.
The lawyers are plenty. Glory to God. Some of them are doing well, Henry. But you see, a lot of them are now in there's this man in Nollywood, Nkem Owo.
Yes.
You see, the charge and bail business. Charge and bail. And then, you need this certificate. Yeah. Somebody jumps to do for you. Land, the lawyers we grew up knowing, notably, let's look at people like Rotimi Williams, the great Rotimi. People like Chief Gani Fawemi,
or Oputa.
To a large extent, Femi Falana, SAN. There are people you see, and I was taught by the great, I don't know if he'll be annoyed, he's a very modest man, but I'll call him the great, Professor Alaba Ogunsonwu. Many listeners may know him. And under him as my HOD were great lecturers. Professor Brown Onuoha, Ayo Akimbobola, God rest his soul, Lugbemi, Dr. Henry Koka, Professor Tunde Babawale. Some of them are still there. Professor Solomon Akimboye. There are names I can't. Professor Daring Ologbenla, Dr. Kodri. A lot of them. And I looked at these people and told myself, I would like to be a lecturer, Henry. These are people who will call you, my son, your last semester, you had an A, you have a B, now what happened? You are just going your own. They call you. In that B that I just got, someone has a D. Now they are calling my attention. They don't know you. They are not asking you for 50 kobo. They're doing their job. So, and today's judiciary, look, we hear the government built quarters for judiciary.
Yes.
And that's my worry. In the business of the administration of law, the judiciary is usually said to be the last hope of the common man. Now, there are many sources of law, but I'm praying that of all the sources, the judiciary should avoid the sentimental aspects of their profession, because those sentiments can blur the sharp edges the law possessed.
It's actually quite unfortunate, Innocent, because lots of people have stated that it's no longer about who is the best lawyer, but who knows the judge. That is what guarantees your success.
Henry, are you not here? I'll give you two instances. One, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan accused the chief, what's that man's name, the one from Edo State, who, and the Senate President Akpabio,
Yes.
I think
the one with the
Senator
Labour Party.
Imasuen,
Yes,
yes,
Labour Party.
of threatening her life. But the Attorney General sued. You know, is it that the Senate President or Senator Imasuen of Edo State cannot afford lawyers? Labour Party were contesting the results of the 2023 presidential elections. INEC were presenting evidences. INEC hired a lawyer there. I thought this is a case between Labour Party and the APC. INEC is supposed to be a neutral umpire. In civil service, that is called the principle of anonymity. You cannot be seen or heard in such a gathering. So, look, I don't know what to tell you. The judiciary. If we are look at the situation with the PDP,
Okay.
they should find solace in the courts. From what we are analyzing, can somebody not already see or predict the outcome and say no need?
Very well.
You know, it's sad.
Very sad situation, but of course, we'll try to see how that goes. And I would love that we continue, but that's just about the time we have for this segment, just to let you know that Innocent is still here and would help us, of course, with our main conversation. That is when we return. When we return, idol worship resurgence in the southeast of Nigeria. It's still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere. For being back, and if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from the economic capital of Nigeria. Let's get to our main conversation for today. In recent years, the resurgence of idol worship in Igbo land has become a troubling phenomenon linked to rising insecurity, ritual practices, and criminal activity. Prominent figures, including Right Reverend Gideon Ilechukwu, have attributed this trend to the failure of Christian leaders to live and preach true Christian values. At a synod in Anambra State, Bishop Ilechukwu emphasized that many church leaders have compromised the gospel by tolerating or even celebrating individuals of questionable character, thereby pushing people away from the faith and back towards traditional practices. Other clergy, including Archbishop Raphael Opoko and Bishop Sunday Onuoha, echoed these sentiments, warning that the church has become complicit by honoring the wealthy without questioning their sources of income. While church leaders bear significant responsibility, other voices point to systemic problems like poor governance and economic hardship as root causes. Reverend Father Jeremiah Okwadike noted that many youths are driven by desperation and disillusionment, with slow divine answers turn to idol worship and rituals as shortcuts to wealth. He also criticized some pastors for prioritizing prosperity preaching and personal luxury, allegedly fueled by charms from native doctors. Okwadike highlighted that today's form of idol worship differs drastically from that of the forefathers, with modern-day rituals often tied to violence and crime, unlike the disciplined spiritual system of the past. Additionally, religious leaders like Pastor Innocent Okwono and evangelist Okechukwu raised concerns about syncretism, that is, Christians mixing faith with idol worship and the societal obsession with wealth. Okwono observed that many Christians still secretly consult native doctors, undermining their faith and perpetuating spiritual bondage. Ukeibu and others warned that the glorification of unexplained wealth fuels this decline, as youth increasingly view financial success, however, achieved as life ultimate goals. Now let's get talking. Innocent Atuluba, thank you so very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
I am very honored to really talk about this issue because I do not know if the 20 plus minutes we have would be enough to discuss this very sensitive matter, because it's not just related or peculiar to the southeast of Nigeria. It cuts across both the south, the southwest. Is a very sensitive matter. But let's get into idol worshipping, which the West actually has categorized as idol worshipping. In Africa, we do not see that as idol worshipping. We see it as praying to a God that we believe in. But of course, with the coming of Christendom and all of that, they've linked it to idol worshipping. Help us clarify that just before we get into other things.
Well, with specific reference to the southeast, according to the news headline, I think there is something called colonial mentality. We know of the missionaries, Henry Townsend, Mary Slessor, and the Presbyterian, the Catholic mission, and all of that, leading to Ajayi Crowther and the great people. What they brought is Christianity or Christian religion. And so that's the mission of Christian religion or Christianity, is to suppress the pre-existing traditional religion. So it's traditional religion, if you ask me, that people largely refer to as idol worship. And if we stay with the southeast, every region, I mean, there is Shango and Co here in southwest. You know, Ogboni, around the Edo, Delta, everywhere they had or they still have their traditional religion. Just that many people would like to be seen on the front row in churches or Sundays and then sneak in the dark to consult. What did that man call it?
They called it Syncretism.
So that with regards to the southeast, some of what we claim in Christendom now exists in traditional religion. You know, the supreme deity being worshipped then was called Chukwu.
Yeah.
Today, even in church, we know Chukwu for who he is. Boy, Chukwu. Oh, Gaza. We're still calling him. So maybe, yes, there is a dichotomy between traditional religion and then Christianity. And with Christianity, we have only one Lord, Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. But we should be careful. If you look at, there is another God, the earth goddess, Allah, thunder god, Amadioha. You know, all of them, sun god, Anyanwu. And many of these people in this traditional worship, that's what I'm going somewhere, worship these traditional gods for specific reasons. Anyanwu give us sun, or, you know, rain, good weather, and the land was peaceful. The land was peaceful. Now, there is another, I mean, you will also have it. People have their personal gods. If you leave this Chukwu and Co, you have Ikenga. Those are personal gods, Agu, and the rest of them. But there is another line to read. Traditional or idol worship, or resort to native charms. And we call it idol worship. As one of the Reverends Ilechukwu and Sunday pointed out.
But it is a subset of the traditional worship system, isn't it?
You see, worshipping your Chukwu, your Anyanwu, peacefully, as you are looking at them as the protector of your family and all, is a different thing from looking for for dark charms to harm your neighbor.
Could that be said to be dark charms? Because retribution, for example, the principle of action-reaction is there. When someone comes to steal from you, and as a traditional worshipper, you go to a deity or whatever it is that you believe in, and you tell such that this person has offended me, can you give me something? So as to serve as a deterrent from others, and maybe possibly if something there happens to that person, how is that, you know, against the same traditional worship that people claim? And remember, our constitution in Nigeria permits for 3 religions: Christian, Muslim, and traditional worship. So why is this a big deal?
I just told you that many people are comfortable. Let's use me to be seen on Sunday in church. Traditional religion is allowed constitutionally, but yes. I don't want my church people to know that I'm also a traditionalist. So, but to take your question head on, if I have a farm besieged by thieves,
yes,
and I put something there that catches thieves, and they confess it, that charm.
Or they die. Let's say they die.
Well, that's extreme. But you see,
but it's bad because you can't tell such what can I call it now? What people call it as charm. You can't tell it what to do or the repercussion that comes from what it does.
I think, like with the Igbo land, there are dibias. And dibias are just native doctors or medium between the people and the god they worship. Or people just refer to messengers of the... So if I tell a dibia the concussion I don't want to kill anybody.
Okay.
I want them to be found out.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, that's doable.
Okay.
Now, such charms, let's use the word, is different from that there is a piece of land there. I wanted to buy it. The man said they are not selling. And so I go to a dibia to give me the charm that can help me take his life.
Okay.
That's a different charm entirely. Okay. That's a different one. So that retribution, I'm safeguarding my farm or whatever. Where I did my NYC in Oyo State, deep in the Atisbo local government, they call the place Decay. I was a what's it called? A eunuch till I finished serving. I was a monk because there was a prevalence of that magun charm. And so that the person who has done the magun on his wife is protecting, it's not, look, I'm the one that killed myself. Yeah. This is what will come out of it. So I asked my my HOD,
yes,
Oga, please sit well. Sit well. Yeah, sit there. Once I put the belt, please cooperate with me. Since we came to serve here, let's complete it and live in peace. I'm aware of the Magon charm. I was maybe in my mid or late 20s, and it didn't kill me. I didn't die. You know, but it's different from maybe the Tede people saw, oh, this copper is doing well, we want to take his life. That is no more traditional worship of retribution or protection. So, and I think in one of your narration when you read, there is also the impatience and disillusionment of many Christians or youths. Let me bring it, have it in a demography, to be too impatient with the responses they get. Two things. One, the government is the agent of development and underdevelopment. If today's government at any level takes upon itself mass tractor farming, mass production, mass agro-processing, cotton, rubber, plantain, and then there are lots of jobs down the chain, there will be jobs.
And people won't see reasons to go
yes.
for.
Many friends I have, with due respect, they are not the best in their academics or what they do. They've traveled, they have jobs. They have jobs. But here, as soon as you graduate, you will take your certificate and go to Redeem or MFM or any, I'm just mentioning, or one imam, and go and lie in that church for 1 week. You are not eating. It's a job. You know. So, a lot of things systemically in Nigeria are misplaced. If a street has not been tarred, the church on that street is praying for God to tar that street. That is a principal task of the government. You know, one of my lecturers used to say, if you leave Nigerians and it were possible, Nigerians will kill God. We used to laugh because, I mean, is God killable? But you see, we transfer the ineptitude, the inefficiencies, the laxities of the government of the day to God. A lot of people being killed in Plateau and Benue are calling on God. It is just one word for the government to send the right troops, carry out the right reconnoiter, the right surveillance, do the right thing. Look, Henry, in a matter of 1 week, some of these bandits will be looking for where to hide. You know, so but we have empowered the deities in today's world hundreds of years after Christianity has been entrenched. I and my wife were watching a pastor online. He said he has created a holy pool, swimming pool, and he has sprinkled some anointing oil in the pool. His church people are to wash there for cleansing of all the hydra-headed wahala in the world. One bath is 150,000 naira. But if you cannot afford that, he has bottled the mixture of the pool water and some oil in a bottle. Members of the church should pick it for 1,500 and just, I mean, use as ablution at home. That is idolatry. And so a lot of people today are sensible and can see through that. So if this is the means of the pastor's wealth, that's what it is. And I can't go through it. Let me go through one other native man sitting somewhere with white clothes and some skulls around him.
So which means that Christianity as it stands can't even be absolved, you know, from some of those things that we keep hearing against the traditional worship system. Because right here, like the example you just gave now, it didn't happen under a traditional worship system.
No.
It happened under a certified Christian doctrine that everyone still believes in, isn't it?
Yes. Christianity can be absolved from all of this.
How?
But some fake preachers, some fake pastors, disguising to be Christian men of God, are the people perpetuating this. It's not the cloak or totality of Christianity. In fact, I've listened to a Reverend Father online. He said when he calls for tithes, intending tithe bringers, givers, come forward for prayer. If you have used your tithe to aid one indigent person in your locality, maybe school fees, eat food, or on your way you saw some of these begging women with children, and you gave your tithe, you didn't bring it to church, come forward and be prayed for. You have done your tithe. You did not eat it. You did not eat it. As in, it came to you. You gave it. Of course, we know what tithe is. Take a tenth and give to the way it was done from the altar through the Levites and all of that. But the man said, if you were gracious to aid people with that tithe, you know, if you are coming to church, the money you would have loved to use on that day's offering or offertory, if you give it out, pray and ask God to bless you. Because those are people, sometime inadvertently the church may not reach. You have reached them. Therefore, a Christian has reached them. Therefore, the church has reached them. So, the Christianity is absolved of traditional, of commercialization. Let me use that word. Okay. But there are fake pastors calling themselves Christian. What did you call that? A syncretism?
Yeah, syncretism.
Yes, there are some syncretics who are doing this and then smearing the name of the entirety of the good Christian people. So let's not paint in one brush and say, oh, Christianity is complicit. No. There are fake people. You know, the Bible will say there are wolves in sheep clothing. That's the metaphor for such people.
Now, Innocent, we all know just before the coming of Christendom and its invitation to Africa, if someone asks you to define yourself. You start with your name. Your name means that it's a place you're coming from, right? Before you now say, okay, there's a trajectory before getting to this is the faith I profess, right? So is there anything really wrong if, as Nigerians, we decide to say, okay, I have respect for all manners of faith, I remain with one, but of course I can still visit other faiths and indulge myself in the things that they do with no strings attached.
Look, Henry, when I started, I think I remember vividly well, I said there is something called colonial mentality. Now, with colonial mentality, let me stay with the Southeast, we are losing identity. And the first index of identity is your name. If you ask a Chidera today, what's your name? Say, I'm Dera. The name Chidera is local. You know, you ask the Ezinne, what's your name? I'm Zini. Ezinne is local. In Yoruba land, Ibuku calls herself IB. Itunu calls herself IT. In Edo, Itoha calls herself IT. In Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Itoro calls herself IT. We also know that industrial attachment is IT. But when I watch football, there are long names. These guys don't change their name. In Inter Milan, the man from Dortmund who came to Man United, played in Arsenal, and is in Inter Milan now, is Henrik Mkhitaryan. If you look at the spelling, he has not changed it.
Or Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He has left it that way.
Which is still very difficult for some people to
He has left it that way. You know, so when this identity diminishes, a lot of our wives, sisters, neighbors, aunties, say 50 years and below, go and hear the name of their children. Somebody with 3 children, the first daughter is Wendy. The second son is Wesley. The other
It's
one.
Glory.
No, that one is common. No. Your Glory is common now. I'm looking for them. Ashley. Someone sent me a message, I think during Easter also, and said from. I didn't know. When I called him, he said, oh, that's his name and the name of his 2 children. Henry, I thought it's some of my friends from abroad who sent me that. And I asked him, Oga, this is your children, they're not getting name. He said, no, he's Igbo. These are their names. I said, why didn't you use it? He said, well, you know. So, little by little, you know, we are chipping. Look, if at home, I like to call my son the name I gave him in my language. Do you know that many people in my neighborhood now think that's his main name? I don't even know if there's a main name or whatever, you know. But he has the name he answers in school. This other name is also written in his book. Some of us, you are Yoruba, your husband is Yoruba, you live in Lagos or Ibadan, a Yoruba enclave, you speak English to your children. Now your children can reply in English, they can't speak your language. An Igbo man who marries an Igbo woman living in, let me call it
Umuahia. Or Aba.
Or Aba, or Onitsha, or Kaenugu. He's speaking English to his child or children. When he does send them errand in the native language, they will run it. They don't speak their language. So, little by little, when you look at the cultural background from where we come from, in fact, there was a day I was in my children's school bus. I was going to attend to something, so I went in the school bus because it just picked them and they are the last to be picked. And one of my boys screamed. I asked him in my language to be quiet. And the driver parked. I was sitting beside the driver because the front seat was empty. He said, Oga, your children, do they speak your language? I said, Abba. What do you mean? He said, do they understand? I said, in my village, they don't speak English. And dogs understand. It's the language they speak to dogs. I don't know about your village. If you tell a dog this in my language, that's what it does. How much more human beings we hear are born tabula rasa and taking what you give them? He said his son does not speak. I said, how old is he? He said he's 34. He just got married. Doesn't speak his Igbo language. Oga, do you speak your language? He say, no. He can't hear. So it is from language. These are non-material aspects of culture. Now, this intangibility reflects in our religion. And so where you are decimating, the world will not go away to the colonial mentality Westerner. A woman who calls her son Wesley in front of you feels she is more relevant globally than you who called him Chukwueze. You are local. Or you called him, pardon me, but I'm just calling him. So Henry, it's neither here nor there. But look, the cultural thing, I said people are stigmatized. Okay. Someone like Taisho Larin doesn't care where you say he worships. Yeah. Somebody like the sage, the legend, Fela Nicola Pokuti. I mean, that's your headache, whatever you say.
Wole Soyinka.
Chinua
Achebe himself, equally. He's still practicing.
So it's good to congregate, worship as a Christian. That's what I do. I don't know yet. In fact, I've never imagined if I will have the alternative of a traditional religion. I rather pray that I'm not a hypocritical Christian. Because if we embrace our culture, our religion fully, there will be no left or right.
Because the southwest of Nigeria, a very good example, a textbook example here, are one of those people from a region that have a low tolerance for faith. You see, in the same family, you find a Christian, you find a Muslim, you find a traditional worshipper, all feasting, enjoying themselves and having the best time of their lives. So can that equally be said to be syncretism?
Names will exist for different things. It's all variants of nomenclature. His Excellency Governor Raji Babatunde Fashola, former governor of Lagos State, is a Muslim. His wife is an Anglican. Growing up, I would, in my family background, and that's unthinkable. I think that's also very strong again in the Southeast.
Yes, very true.
Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, on the day he stepped down, he announced that he is now a Catholic. The English in England, the predominant faith is Anglican. As soon as he became Prime Minister, he started the Anglican faith, possibly to fit into and maybe also reduce, not to arm the opposition with material for criticism. Yeah. But he said that he now follows his wife to Catholic Church. So that tolerance exists here and there. If the tolerance was general, Henry, Nigeria wouldn't even have a Boko Haram So that's why I don't understand where in some of the release videos we watch, they will tell you, they are Muslim faithfuls. Christians are infidels. Well, what does that mean? Is this what you want to do? That's kudos to the Yorubas of the Southwest. Yes. The Muslim man attends the wedding of his brother who is a churchman. Yeah. Both the Muslim and the Christian attend the family member's traditional. And once the event is over, fly away, Peter. Fly away, Paul. So I think these are, and then the communication in Nigeria as regards orientation is very low. In fact, if you want to start it now, it will have a commercial complexion, and then there will be scrambles, and then again, it will get politicized. But the National Orientation Agency, the Ministry of Information, particular state governments should work with agencies, organizations, even cultural leaders to preach this. Perhaps our land will be a better place.
Very, very true, Innocent, because like we often say, we all know what is good and what is bad, and faith cannot in any way immune some of those things. A bad person remains a bad person. A leopard never changes its spot. So no matter if you are a Christian, a Muslim, a traditional worshipper, when you do not have that milk of human kindness, it will never come. Faith cannot, I want to believe, cannot bring that when you do not have that. So you need to be that person yourself before you can allow faith. Faith is like more like a lubricant that helps to polish the good that you have and let people see it. Don't you think so?
I'll be very brief on this
Yes.
one. You see, religion is personal. The value of a human is what you do socially. Jesus said, I was hungry, you gave me to eat. I was thirsty, and I was naked. Jesus also gave the example in the parable of the Good Samaritan. You can see the caliber of people, priests, Levites, who... And then in Isaiah chapter 51, the Bible tells us the kind of fasting I want, I'll put that fasting to approximate faith. Release prisoners, oppressed people, give shelter to, all of this. So there are people, Henry. You see, to live right is righteousness.
And it's not faith-based.
And it's not religion. And righteousness exalts a nation. So if a meeting was 12 noon, you are there before 12. Whether you are a Christian or a traditionalist. Oh, somebody needs help. You give. Oh, be a good citizen. You are. For all of our Christianity, sadly, there was a day I was driving to church and the preaching pastor on radio, I and my wife, we always tuned to him. He said, perhaps his church people should forgive him. He wants to announce that we should close down all churches in Nigeria. Because he does not know the church they attend in Kuwait or Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and their land is prosperous, Henry. And we have all the churches, maybe 4 per street. Here we are, brother.
Of course, the notable pastor Abel Damina would say, if you have a sustainable country, the truth remains you won't have so many churches and worship centers, because in the West, they actually do not care so much about that, because the government had provided every basic thing that they need. So going to a faith-based organization is just at your prerogative. It's something you do, just to keep your soul and body together. But it is not a prerequisite for you to get what you've never gotten before in your life. So I would love to believe that if our current government, and the future, would do all they can to ensure that Nigeria remains economically stable and sustainable, then all of this thing wouldn't really be popping here and there. And of course, every single Nigerian would enjoy whichever faith that they decide to follow. That is my take for today. Thank you so very much, Innocent Ajoluba.
Harry, that's where we leave it, because from where you take it from the government point of view, I'm not excusing anybody, but it has thrown a lot of youths on the path of money, charms, and rituals.
Very true.
This was not so. In my days, like primary school, I used to work with my father when he fixes. There is a comment over the radio. There is dignity in labor. I don't know where that has gone to.
Very true. All right, people, that's just the time we have. We'd love to say thank you to you for making this a date. Please do well to follow us. You can read more on everything we've discussed when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. And also you may rewatch and equally share, if you may, when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwe. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have yourself a splendid day.